All right. Here's another one. I just watched the first 1 or 2 minutes of Brian's commentary on this one, and the gloves are going to come off just a little bit more on this review that I'm going to do. My puppy's giving me kisses. Because, and the reason why is because I know that Brian is a grifter. He knows that Karen Reed is in fact, come on, is in fact guilty of this crime. And this is the shit that makes me so upset, because he has so many of you stuck in that mentality. So, and please excuse my phone. I'm having issues with ads keep popping up, but I'm going to just do my best here.
That you got to say and do. And I love this. She brings up literally something that has been debunked and tries to spin more propaganda on this. Will Alan Jackson's extracurricular activities with his client, Karen Reed, affect his decision to represent Reed in her second trial? You've got to be kidding me, Jennifer. You are a former FBI agent that has been trained, most likely, in all of these areas of photo fraud and digital video fraud, and you're literally going to roll with this story now that this is real. Did his original fee cover the second trial? Will AJ's wife, who is no dummy, have any say on this decision? Why are you talking about his family? That has nothing to do with what is going on in this case. Shame on you. And I hate saying that. Shame.
Why do you all talk about things that have nothing to do with this case, Brian? Nothing. Why don't you strictly talk about the facts of the case? And shame on you.
On you. It's a stupid thing to say. Shame on you. But it's stupid. His family has nothing to do with his client. Why would you even bring that up? Actually.
And his family should have something to do with his clients. Meaning, his wife will likely have something to say about that. Now, I don't know if it's true or not true. I realize y'all think Ashley debunked it, but Ashley Banfield has been known to do a lot of false reporting in past cases that have proven to be not true. So I don't put a lot of stock in what that woman says at all.
That's pretty fucking trashy that you would even do that to bring his wife.
You don't think the things that y'all have said are trashy? You're going to sit here and put down Paul O'Keefe right now, which we're going to get into. You don't think that's fucking trashy? That is disgusting. He has lost 2 siblings now, and you're going to critique whether or not he knows what happened? You don't think he's done his research, Brian? You think you know better than his brother does? Put yourself in his shoes. If you had a sister and her boyfriend did what Karen Reed is accused of, and let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you're not quite sure if he did it or not. Are you going to do your research? Are you going to look at the evidence? Are you going to not, are you going to prosecute the right person? Are you going to make sure that they have the right person to prosecute? I mean, again, it's ridiculous. The fact that you think you know better than the Paul O'Keefe family sickens me. It is John's family. They are not going to cover up his murder for anyone. They are going to make sure the person who did this is going to be prosecuted. It blows my mind that you think that you know more about this case than the O'Keefes. Do you think that I would know more about the case if your brother or sister got murdered? And I watched your episode about your best friend, one of your best friends that got murdered and didn't get justice. You have the audacity to show that and yet be a grifter and know full well that Karen Reed is innocent? And put this out over and over and over and make so much money off of this? It's disgusting.
Into this, into his work, his job, that's fucking trashy. Oh my God, Aggie says, Trooper Paul, we need to start school at Stuff 101. Proctor needs to be demoted to dog catcher and find Chloe. I love that. Thank you so much for the $5. We're going to add that.
Okay, here's a good example. What do Proctor's text messages have to do with Karen Reed's guilt? He was pissed off that a fellow officer was so callously murdered and left to die by himself in the cold. And it was his personal phone. It was not his work phone. And we'll get into more of that when Paul talks about what he's going to talk about.
Towards the total tonight, and hopefully we can get Karen Reed that $50 to her defense fund. So then going on, it's...
Stop, people, sending your money to these grifters. Brian knows she is guilty. The Glare knows she is guilty. Turtle Boy knows she is guilty. The Young Jerks knows she is guilty. Mazza Media knows she is guilty. How much money have y'all sent to these people? I've heard people say that they have given over $20,000 to this ridiculous innocence fraud. There are plenty of people out there that actually need your help finding justice. This is not the case. Is there corruption in Massachusetts police? Absolutely there is. This is not that case. This is not that case. There is no evidence that leads to anybody but Karen Reed.
Says, I certainly would not want my husband across the county drinking, partying, and holding another woman. It would no matter what he was being paid. What wife would? Are you fucking...
I am disgusted with Alan Jackson just as much as the next person, but let's get into this interview here.
Don't risk losing the photos and videos from your phone. This innovative device makes it easy to back up your smartphone in seconds.
So we had CBS Boston, Christina Rex, in my opinion, comes off very, very, very biased in this interview. And I've heard...
Reporters are not biased. She's asking questions to a murder victim's brother.
Reports that she tends to play both sides in this. Okay, let's.
That's what journalists are supposed to do, Brian. That is how journalism is supposed to work. Okay, if you don't have all the facts, you play both sides. And even when you do, which has happened with our media. I know a lot of our media. I'm disgusted by mainstream media. They know Karen Reed is guilty. There was never a question about her guilt until Alan Jackson got on the scene and this whole innocence fraud campaign started. A year went by with nothing but it was an accident. It was an accident. She had no criminal intent, which I beg to differ. And just for the record, folks that don't know this, actual intent can happen in 1 second. It doesn't have to be a planned out murder. It means you get pissed off and you do something stupid and it causes death. That's second degree murder. What she did is got pissed off in a jealous rage and killed her boyfriend. On purpose. She left her first voicemail on John O'Keefe's phone 3 minutes after she left the Albert's house. Sorry about this. This is going to keep happening because this stupid crap keeps popping up. And she was already accusing him of screaming at him, telling him that she hates him and he's a pervert. So she already knows that he's cheating on her 3 minutes after she leaves. She wanted to continue the night. She didn't want to go home. She wasn't invited out. Okay? This was a guy's night out. She and John were fighting horrendously before she went out, as proven in court by Lally, with all of those 50-some missed phone calls and how many text messages, and he did not want to see her. He had asked her to leave. He was going out with his guy buddies to decompress. And she showed up. And again, John O'Keefe, being the salt of the earth kind of guy, he's not going to cause a scene and argue in front of people. And Karen Reed doesn't want to drop her mask and do that shit in front of his friends either. So yeah, there was no sign of tension. Have you never faked it? Have you ever been in a relationship where you go out and maybe you're not so happy with your significant other and you just have to get through the night and you're gonna not have a brawl out fight in front of your friends? This is real life. Okay? This is not some dramatized movie, even though many of you are acting like it is.
My first question is obvious. Just how are you doing? How's your family doing?
I mean, we're doing all right, hanging in there. It's been a long, painful 2.5 years. And I mean, with the mistrial that happened the other day, obviously it wasn't ideal, but if we have to do it again, we'll do it again. So we're ready to go.
Did you?
Let's go back up here. Miss Jessica says, Brian, she never answered me when I was a victim, witness to the FBI investigation here in Chicago, and I was in danger. I couldn't get an answer here. She tweets about victims of DV and SA all the time. And she has a fascination with that. Some kind of fascination with that.
Did you, prior to jury deliberations, ever think a mistrial was even possible?
I kept everything was on the table, I guess, but obviously hoping and confident that we were going to get the conviction that we were looking for. So as far as a mistrial, yes, it's something we didn't want, obviously, but you know, it's just a bump in the road, and like I said, we'll do it again. We'll do it as many times as we have to.
Paul is just dead set on pinning this on Karen. Dead set. He's drank Morrissey's Kool-Aid, the Commonwealth's Kool-Aid, Lally's Kool-Aid. I have a hard time understanding that Paul and his family sat there in court, and you've got to tell me that not one thing through all of the Commonwealth's presentation, that there wasn't one thing during that you questioned, like, nah, that didn't seem too right, or that's a little weird. And then at the end...
Again, Brian, you think you know better? You think that you know the facts of the case better than the O'Keefe family? You think that you understand what went on in their private living area more than they do? Seriously? That's quite the ego, sir. Would you like me to go study your best friend's case who was murdered and then come and tell you what I think and claim that I know better than you do? Would you enjoy that? Do you think that I would know better than you did? After you did your due diligence and did your research, did you just trust that they had the right people? Or did you do your own research? Because I'm willing to bet that they know what happened better than anybody. They weren't there, but you know what else? All of the evidence leads to Karen. All of it.
For the defense, you have the ARCA guys that come up and literally use physics and science and all the...
Okay, here we go again. ARCA guys. Here's the deal. There was clear bias. Okay, if you notice when the scientists speak about the plastic and the taillights and all of this stuff, they could not call glass, or plastic, plastic. They had to say something to the effect of, it was a plastic-like material. Okay, even though it's clearly plastic, scientists don't speak in those terms. They cannot say absolutes. They cannot say, this could not have happened this way, and this absolutely happened this way better than anybody else, unless they actually saw it happen. So the fact that the ARCA guy, Dr. Wolf, says okay, here we go. I'm going to lay it out. Josh Levy got involved when Alan Jackson came on the case. Okay? This is corruption. This is corruption from the defense side. And you don't have to believe me. This will come out. And it has already started to come out. And hopefully, there's more accountability for the people involved that have actually done the corruption. Who do you think wanted the FBI stuff sealed? Go back and watch the pretrial hearings. The defense requested that it be sealed. Why would they do that? Because they are the ones that got Josh Levy involved and told them this big conspiracy theory so that they could get the feds involved, so that they could go through this trial with telling you all that, oh, the feds are doing their own investigation. The feds are doing their own investigation. Of course, that's going to make people go, what the hell is really going on here? Clearly, if the feds are involved, there's corruption. Yeah, there is corruption. But it's because Josh Levy got involved, because Jackson got himself a political favor. And then the defense made sure that everything was sealed in a pretrial motion. That was their call. They requested that. Okay? Josh Levy got them involved. He gave them only exculpatory information. That is it. And that was proven when Lally asked them, did you know that there was DNA on the inside housing of the taillight? The inside housing of the taillight. Your DNA does not end up on the inside housing of a taillight unless the taillight is broken. Explain that science. Okay? It doesn't happen. The Dr. Wolf says, oh, that wouldn't have changed my mind. Very angrily and defensively. Really? Every single piece of new information that a scientist gets has to be taken into consideration. And new inferences and determinations are drawn from every new piece of information, folks. That is a fact. And if you don't understand that, I'm not sure what to tell you. I would say consult. You don't have to believe me. Consult somebody that actually practiced criminal law that will tell you the truth and not give you a reasonable doubt answer. Because Karen Reed is factually guilty. Okay? And all of y'all that are screaming from the rooftops that she's factually innocent and treating her like she's some kind of role model, I don't understand it. You want to put a murderer back out into society. Do you want to date her? Do you want to take that chance that you could end up where John O'Keefe is now? Do you want to take that chance that your son dates that woman? Do you want to take that chance that your children are taught by this woman or live next to this woman or are exposed to her in any sort of personal way? I don't understand why we want to have murderers out.
The things that you propose.
Wait, so the rest of the ARCA guy stuff, okay? What else? Okay, so let's talk about the dog DNA, folks. Again, never brought up until trial until Jackson got on the scene. Okay, so those of you that are like, why didn't they check his skin? Well, because it was clearly a hit and run accident. It was clear. Very straight line. No evidence led to anybody but Karen Reed. And nobody has any reason to frame this woman. None. Okay? And here's the deal. Check out my previous video that I did on the truth and transparency because I feel like I'm repeating myself again. But dogs do not bite through clothes without leaving DNA on the actual clothes. So everybody that wants to say, well, they only tested his clothes, I say to you, well, how do you think there were holes in his sweatshirt, which means that if he was bit by a dog, he was bit through the sweatshirt, which means that the dog's DNA would be on the sweatshirt. Explain that science. How does a dog bite somebody through a sweatshirt and not leave DNA on the sweatshirt? Anybody who I have German Shepherds. I've had German Shepherds my entire life. If a dog bit you, first of all, they would have bite marks on both sides of your arms, both sides, and John only had marks on one side of his arm. Okay? That doesn't happen. You can't get bit and only have one side of your arm. You have a large dog. Have you seen large dogs' canine teeth? If a canine tooth bit you, it would be much bigger than a teeny tiny little pinprick. Defense witnesses are not very credible, okay? And you want to talk about the GPS versus Apple? Do you realize that GPS is made for the military so that they could shoot a missile across the country, across the world, and hit their target? That's GPS, okay? You are within 3 yards, I think, of your target, okay? And I think military precision likely gets much better than that. That's GPS, okay? Apple data? Seriously? You think Apple data is more obvious than, or more precise than GPS? Please go educate yourself. It is not. And the person that got brought in to say that, you need to listen to the very last sentence where he finally acquiesced that, yes, they did have to change the program because mistakes like that were being made where things were happening that were not actually happening, but they were being reported happening on people's phones. Okay? Somebody standing there and shaking their phone is not a scientific test. That's not a scientific test. The two more credible people on the side of the prosecution, the lady, I mean, just look at her resume. She's unimpeachable, okay? And the other gentleman is the gentleman that wrote the program. He literally wrote the program that Green was trying to say he knew better than the person that wrote the program, for those of you in the back. Really? You're going to believe that over somebody who wrote the program? Please use your common sense.
For Paul could not articulate on the stand and essentially sink the Commonwealth's case that we painstakingly had to sit there and listen to for 8 fucking weeks in within, what, a day?
Why didn't he say these things on the stand? Okay, here is why he didn't say those things on the stand. Because it's hearsay. And you can't introduce hearsay. It's really simple. Why don't you go study a little bit about law so that you know what you're talking about? He also showed that he did not have a bias toward Karen Read. Nobody in that family, nobody involved in this whole entire case wanted Karen Read to have killed John O'Keefe. They didn't realize it. And again, it was a slow burn when they started to realize it. They started to say, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Why do you think that John O'Keefe's mom went and did a timeline with Jen McCabe? Because Paul O'Keefe says in this interview, Mom said, did she have something to do with it? Why do you think that she asked that? Because Karen Read used those children as an excuse to come over, go erase video from the video cam. 15 events of Karen Read the night before were erased. Why do you think that is? You think the prosecution deleted all that video? Why the fuck would they delete that video? There would be no reason to delete that video. She used those children as an excuse to come over. She said she wanted to see the kids. Paul said, yeah, come on over. We're all here. They're all in shock, traumatized, just got home from the hospital. They're spending time together trying to come to any kind of realization about that this is actually happening to them. She shows up with her dad and her brother. She sits down with Paul O'Keefe, doesn't say one word to the children while they tell them, heads straight upstairs to the bedroom as a 43-year-old man, brings daddy up to the bedroom, grabs all of her shit, doesn't say a word to anybody, and leaves. Again, ask yourself, folks, if you were dating somebody for 2 years and you were close with the family, she was extremely close with Aaron O'Keefe. And after this, she said, I'm probably never going to see you guys again. Why would you say such a thing? You both lost somebody that you cared about. Why would you not be grieving together and supporting each other? They welcomed her. They liked her. They had nothing against her. That's what their testimony proved. If this was some kind of conspiracy, they would have already had her dead to rights from day one. You think Paul O'Keefe and John O'Keefe's mom is going to go sit down to make a timeline to cover up her son's murder? Seriously? You honestly can sit there and say that you think that John O'Keefe's mom is going to go sit down with somebody with the top conspirator, Jen McCabe, to go make a timeline so that they can protect the people that killed her son? Is that logical in any way? Okay, so when Karen comes over, grabs her shit, leaves without saying a word to anybody, Paul's mom asks him, Peggy asks him, do you think she had something to do with it? That was her first, that was really strange behavior. Ask yourselves, if your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband passed away and you'd been dating them for 2 years and you were close to his family, is that how you would act? Would you say, man, that was strange behavior that they just left? They didn't even say anything. They left. They took the car, driving in these conditions. They could have left it until the blizzard was over. I wonder why they would do that. They started coming to a realization, which is why Peggy went to go see Jen McCabe and do this timeline, because they were starting to piece all of this together. They were doing their own investigation. That is why they did that. Okay, and they don't have any reason to protect their son or brother's murderers. Again, why would they do that? You don't think they would want the right people brought to justice? If Karen didn't do it, they would have still been in touch with Karen. Karen wouldn't have came and left and never spoke to them ever again and said, I have to remember only the bad times. I'll never see you again. Erin's response to that was, of course you will. We're friends. That was her response, because that would be a normal response. Why wouldn't we ever see you again? We're friends. We'll be talking. Guess what? They never did. Why? Because Karen Reed knew what she did. And she knew it was only a matter of time until they figured it out. And they did. And again, they did their own investigation. They figured it out. They know she's guilty. They would not protect the murderer of their son, brother, or funkle.
A day, not even a couple of hours, sink the Commonwealth's case in about 2.5 seconds. All right, let's keep playing.
You'll be back in court every day for another long trial.
Absolutely.
How are your parents?
They're doing all right. That's more of my concern, is that they have to go through this again. I mean, I'll do it 10 more times if I have to, but I hate the fact that they have to go through this all again. We don't know where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. But, I mean, overall, they're doing...
BLT, Brian, you're doing good work. Christina Rex could have not been more Paul O'Keefe's fangirl during this interview. The amount of time she validated the theory by sighing sympathetically is a softball question. A lot of softball questions in this interview. A lot of softball questions.
Okay.
This is an interview with the victim's brother, who has also been victimized. This family has been nothing but graceful. They haven't come out and said what they thought because they were waiting for the justice system to do what the justice system is supposed to do. They've been trying to grieve. This family needs a conclusion so that they can heal. And that conclusion is for the guilty party to go to prison. And again, do you think that they would want the wrong person to go to prison? They're not going to just drink the Kool-Aid and buy what somebody says. They're not going to just believe it. They did their own investigation. You would too. Common sense. And again, softball questions, Brian, really? This is an interview with a victim and a victim's brother. This is not a police interrogation. Paul O'Keefe did nothing wrong. The world wants to know what he's thinking and feeling. There's nothing there. It's not softball or fast pitch questions. He's not on trial here. He didn't kill his brother. Okay? So, what the fuck? It's disgusting, the shit that you guys do. You should be ashamed of yourself.
And they have John's kids now, too. His sister's kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
he's got like what they call like so what do they call it? Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm. Holm. Like Sherlock Holmes. It's Stockholm, like the city.
When you've been fed a bunch of lies and then you start, sympathizing with those people that are giving you the lies, that are showing the lies and telling you the lies. I just find it very hard that you sat through that trial and you can't say that nothing was questionable that the Commonwealth did. And he talks about it. Oh,
Brian, why don't you go ask a police officer? I recommend Police Off the Cuff. He didn't watch the trial. He has no opinion one way or the other. He was a New York City beat cop. Why don't you go watch his episode of Paul O'Keefe's interview? Do yourself a favor and go watch that. Educate yourself from a police officer's standpoint of what really happens in investigations. They're not perfect. No investigation is perfect. The city of Canton was not used to doing this type of investigation. And, quite frankly, it was a pretty clear-cut fucking investigation. I did it, I hit him, is he dead? Again, put whatever kind of spin on that you like. There's no reason that if I dropped my husband off at a party the night before and then went back and found him on their lawn, that I would be asking if I hit him. If I did that. I would not be asking that. I would be fucking screaming, what the fuck happened here? What the fuck happened here? What the fuck happened here? What's going on?
the investigation.
And why didn't she call 911? And why did she call Carrie Roberts at 5 o'clock in the morning before she even left John's house and say, John is dead, and hang up the phone? Why would she do that? Why would you assume that John is dead? Again, if your girlfriend went and hung out and was drinking with some friends and you dropped her off and then she didn't come home, would you assume immediately that she's dead? And if you did, what would you do? Would you call 911? Would you call somebody to go do a welfare check where you left him? Would you call hospitals and jails maybe to make sure that he wasn't taken in somewhere? No. She called her daddy all throughout the night, and then she called Jen McCabe, and then she called Carrie Roberts, her next two victims, in her narcissistic psychopathy.
Or, Josh Levy stepped in and did this investigation, and it's almost ridiculous. Dave, thank you so much. $10 says he said that Jen McCabe was a family friend. Yes, and yet she had to get a hold of John's mom through Carrie Roberts. That's a good observation, and I noticed that too when I was going through this. And I actually have that on my notes. Thank you. Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, I think I'm saying it right. Stockholm. Am I saying Stockholm syndrome? Am I saying that right? I think I'm saying it right. Might be wrong. Everybody's chatting right now. Oh my God, says $5. Said, so sad the killers have wormed their way into the family circle and planted the seeds to blame Karen Reed. The McAlberts have no shame. It's so sad. I completely agree. Stockholm syndrome. I think I'm saying it right. I don't know. Am I saying it right? All right, let's go.
Yeah, they're living in my brother's house in Canton.
Stockholm.
Raising my niece and nephew, who were 16 and 13. I wanted them to come down here and live with us, but my niece didn't want to leave Canton, didn't want to leave her friends, didn't want to leave
Stockholm. Like, I have a hard time saying it. Stockholm. I don't know why. I just do. Stockholm syndrome.
Kind of hard to force a kid who's been through as much as they've been through to.
So here's something that I noticed in this. He does a little bit of damage control here. When they talk about the niece, he talks about the niece and nephew testifying. He does some damage control because they got a lot of shit for that. And what they're trying to do now is clean up their public image. And I'm going to tell you, they're going to probably start speaking out a lot more now. You gonna
Clean up their public image? Again, I ask you, this is making me want to vomit, so I'm probably going to end it on this because I can't with you. Clean up their public image of what? They're a victim's family. What the hell do they need to clean up their public image about? That's disgusting. Both you and the Glare made some kind of comment about this bullshit, and it's disgusting. They have nothing to clean up because they're a victim's family, first of all. And second of all, it was the niece and nephew's choice to testify. Okay? They wanted to do what they needed to do for their uncle, who they loved. Nobody made them testify. Nobody told them what to say. They have their opinions. They lived with the two of them. Rennie. Okay, sorry. My puppy was crying because my husband just went out the door. So, yeah. Niece and nephew. I mean, come on. Y'all need to stop. You want to grift off the actual court case? Fine. But if the family speaks, let them speak. And stop critiquing what the family has to say. You do not know anything better than what the family has to say. And the fact that you think you do speaks volumes. But more than that, you know that Karen Reed is guilty. And I know that you do. And I know that you are making tons of money from your subscribers that send you super chats that want to buy into this fucking conspiracy theory. It's disgusting. And I feel very sorry for all of the people that you have brainwashed. And I hope that one day you find some shame in that and better yourself, because it's wrong. It is wrong. I implore you to stop this. You are hurting people. You have drug countless people through the mud, blaming other people for murder. It's disgusting. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. This was clearly my most abrasive review of this as yet, and that is because he is one of the grifters. Okay, so that is why. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of this shit. It's disgusting. And I really hope that some of you start using common sense. It's really, really simple case. The Lexus data shows exactly what happened. 60 feet in reverse at 24 miles an hour. 20 feet after she hit him, she kept going. Alarm bells going off in the vehicle. I mean, come on. She knew exactly what she did, which is why she started calling him right away, leaving nasty voicemails. That's her alibi. She's already starting her alibi. What 43-year-old woman calls their parents throughout the night? First time she calls them is at 1 something in the morning? Are you kidding me? That is only in case of emergency that you would call your senior citizen parents after 10 o'clock at night, I would think. I don't know. That's kind of my rule. I don't understand how this isn't more obvious to some of you. And I know there's a lot of grifters out there that are brainwashing you. And the problem is that this is cult-like thinking. You are actually harming all of these people because they are brainwashed. And if they ever come out of this, it's going to be so hard for them to wrap their brain around it. People that get involved with cults and they have to come out of that thinking, It is a long road to recovery, and it scars them. This is the same thing that is happening. And again, yes, there was corruption, but it wasn't corruption until Jackson got involved. There is no frame job with Karen Reed. She is factually guilty of second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter, leaving the scene of an accident, and an OWI. Those are the facts. I will make some visual aids to help those of you that actually want to find the truth. If you want to defend and spit hate and vitriol at me, that's fine, but I'm not going to participate in that. That's not my purpose. I am a nobody. I am not making money off of making these YouTube videos. I will never make money off of these. I got into this case because there's a standstill in the Koberger case, and I will be making videos on that case, and that's it. And then I'm probably never going to be doing any of this ever again. My point is to try to help some of you see the light and try to get yourselves out of this mess. If you have honest questions that you would like to ask me, I'm more than happy to answer them with facts. Okay? Please educate yourselves. Don't trust me. Go ask somebody who's unbiased, like the gentleman on Police Off the Cuff, a New York City sergeant. Okay? Ask him about putting Solo cups in paper bags and see what he says. See what he says. Go watch that episode. And Brian, stop grifting. Stop hurting innocent people. It's disgusting. And you know what, audience and Brian, if you are so confident in Karen Reed's innocence, factual innocence, why don't you ever have guests on your show that have any sort of contrarian viewpoint? Do you prefer echo chambers to critical thinking? Is that what's going on here? Because I don't understand. I want contrarian viewpoints. I want somebody to prove to me that Brian Koberger is guilty, because I will sleep better at night knowing that they have the right person in jail. I think that there's absolute, obvious corruption going on in that case. But I could be totally wrong. We hardly have any actual facts in that case. But what has been told to us has been proven by my investigation and many others to be bullshit. So until we actually get facts, we won't know. So yes, I believe in corruption. But I also, as much as I believe that he is factually innocent, I also know that I could be wrong. And I have conversations with people that think that he is guilty because I want them to prove to me why I should believe that. Because I don't want to be stuck obsessing about an innocent man being in prison right now, being in jail right now. So yeah, I believe in corruption. This is not the case. This is not corruption. Did they make mistakes? Yes, every investigation has mistakes. If you don't know anything about snow and blizzards and whiteout conditions, then you have no idea what you're talking about. And if you do know what that's like, then shame on you for saying that it's anything different than not being able to see a foot in front of your face, because that's what a whiteout is. And there was definitely more snow on the ground than what you're saying, Brian. That's bullshit. Look at the fucking video from the scene. Look at the pictures from after they dug up that area. I mean, there's like 3 feet of snow there. I mean, you're just denying actual visual proof. ARCA was biased. They didn't have exculpatory or they didn't have inculpatory evidence. They were spoon-fed only exculpatory evidence. They didn't have any of the information from the Lexus. They didn't have any of the information about the plastic and the this and the that and the other thing. And then they very defensively said, no, that would never change my opinion. Okay, well, that's not how scientists speak. And if they speak like that, that should be a red flag going forward for anybody that actually wants to seek truth and justice in the world, that person is not credible. I am not biased. I have no dog in this fight. I have no reason to want Karen Read in prison if she didn't do it. None. I don't know any of these people. I have no connection to them. I have never spoke with them. I've never had any kind of communication with any of them. I don't want innocent people going to jail or prison. And I would not feel this passionately about it to start making little videos on this if I thought she was innocent. I went into this trial thinking she was innocent. And by the end of day one, when the trial started, and after a really bad opening statement by Lally, I will tell you, yes, it was bad, and yes, his monotone is awful, and he needs to enunciate, and he needs to really bring home his points by repeating these things like, this is what I want you to pick up on, jury. He needs to do those things. I agree with you. It wasn't prosecuted the best. He shouldn't have focused on all the bullshit. He should have focused on a straight-cut case. Do your case, Lally, and let the defense bring up this crazy conspiracy theory that they need to weave together. And then see how ridiculous that sounds. That is not Occam's razor, and that is not the truth. And there are way too many things that you need to believe in order to make that true. It's not logical. It's not common sense. This really boils down to common sense. Because that's what started to change my mind after day one of trial is actual common sense. Realizing that all of the things that were in the media were spun. They were spun. You can make anything sound like something nefarious taken out of context, not knowing what the person was actually talking about. And stop with this Proctor stuff. If you can't stand being called a bitch or a cunt, you need to put your big girl panties on. Seriously. Women can be bitches. This woman killed a man. Do you think people that kill people are bitches and assholes? Because I do. So I concur. And shame on everybody that is making him be a villain. This is a murder investigation. He was on his personal phone, which again would have never been in the hands of the defense without the involvement of the state's attorney getting the FBI involved. Never. And you know what, folks? Those of you that think federal indictments are coming down anywhere, you're full of shit. The feds are done. They realized it was bullshit, and they did their investigation, and they had their reports, which is why the ARCA guys were there in the first place. Those were the people that they hired. The investigation is over. The worst thing that they found was the fact that Proctor had inappropriate text messages on his personal phone. Do you guys think that that's good for people's mental health if they can't vent to their friends and their wives about personal stuff? What do you think we'd find on Karen Read's phone? Some of it's out there. Do you think she speaks eloquently and classy? It's disgusting. Please open your eyes. I spread light and love. I am happy to come and have a contrarian point of view in a very respectful way on your panel, Brian. In fact, I challenge you to invite me. If you are so confident in her innocence, let's have a respectful conversation about the facts. Can you do that? Can you accept my challenge? Can I come on your show and have a respectful conversation about what's... Sorry, about the facts? I'm gonna challenge you. Accept my challenge or don't. And I hope all of your viewers actually pay attention to this so that they know, did he accept my challenge? If he didn't, why not? If he's so confident, why can't he welcome a contrarian point of view? The glarer, I put that out to you as well. Turtle Boy, if you're not in prison by the time you hear this, I challenge you as well. Anybody who believes that she is factually innocent, the young jellyfish, young jerks. Mark Betterow asked you last night, have you ever met anybody that went into the trial who thought she was factually innocent and then changed their mind? You know that I do. You block me out of your chats as soon as I ask any kind of question or make any kind of point. You immediately block me, Mazamedia. Why? You don't want your viewers to see comments that might influence their state of mind, that might actually get them out of their echo chamber for 5 seconds? It takes much more than that to unbrainwash a brainwashed person. It's going to take a lot of time if these people ever recover from the damage you've done to them. It is awful. You have created a cult mentality. I beg of you to stop. Follow the facts. Use common sense. Think about this as if this was your brother. Think about this as if, how would you act in those situations? I know just as well as you do that we don't know how anybody else acts and reacts, but I think we can all agree that if we were dating somebody for 2 years, we would not go over to their house, grab your shit, and leave without saying one word to them and never speak to them again. Is that what you would do in that situation? And if you would, I have to question your mental health as well. And I don't mean that offensively. I seriously mean that. Because I can't imagine. Even if I wasn't in love with the person, if I spent 2 years of my life with somebody, I better be in love with them. I wouldn't be in a relationship if I wasn't. That's ridiculous. I'm going to devote that much time to somebody that I don't love. If you're in a relationship for that long and your partner doesn't love you, please run away. Please get away from that person. Because that would mean that either they're incapable of love or they're never going to love you. Either way. Okay? So avoid those situations at all costs, please. I spread love and light. Please be well, everybody. Love ya. Mwah.